life coach. What the heck does it mean?
It's kind of like a champion in your corner to help you to make life work more for you.
Yeah?
Because this is the thing, so much of our lives are us working against ourselves. Life is now so complicated. I swear it's these phones and the internet has made, yes, on some level our lives easier, but in a lot of ways it's made it much more difficult from a human perspective. There's good stress and there's bad stress, but anything that makes you uncomfortable or takes you out of your own happiness, you know, that I would say that qualifies as stress.
So can you define the difference between good stress and bad stress?
Well, good stress is stress that motivates you, you know. Sometimes, like, you know, when you're listening to music at the gym and, you know, you're like getting all pumped and that kind of thing, that's good stress. Bad stress is stress where you start to feel like there's an elephant on your shoulder and you're just like, oh my gosh, I feel like I have so many emails, I have so many people to get back to. Or stress can be like when you've heard that you've had like really negative medical outcome and then, you know, you start to worry. Worry becomes a huge part of stress as well.
Why don't we put up some of these very specific and precise recommendations that you make.
Okay.
Let's go with the first one, team. 4 strategies. Close your emotional windows. What are we talking about, Peter?
I was looking at my computer and I noticed I had all these programs and they were all open, but they were all reduced. And I said, you know, this is like our problems in our lives. It's that email that you have to write that you don't want to write. It's that phone call that you need to make. It might even be cleaning out your closet. It could be anything, or it's that you need to lose 15 pounds because your doctor told you, you know, health is in danger. These are things that if we don't deal with them and we don't start to take action towards them, what happens is they take up battery life of our bodies. And we start to get very depleted. And then what that does is that contributes to low self-esteem because we start beating ourselves up. Oh, I'm doing this. Oh, I'm doing that, you know. I know for me, I used to have a really, really negative thought pattern. And all of the thoughts, you know, the committee that would go on in my head, you know, it was always a negative. It was always like, why aren't you doing this? You should be doing this. You have to do this. And one of the things I started learning is anything, you know, don't should all over yourself.
So what do you do? If you're at your desk, you're multitasking. What do you do to concentrate on one thing at a time when other things might be more pressing at that moment?
Well, I think what's most important is to prioritize. What do you most not want to do? So if I most do not want to answer this particular email because I have to break some news that I really don't want to break, the best thing to do is do that first. I used to be a person who had very, very little self-esteem, and sometimes I think that we get this idea that if we have really low self-esteem, there's no way. We're just born with it. We were unpopular in high school. Everybody hated us. We were picked on, whatever it is, and that can never change. And I'm kind of like I think of myself as kind of an example of someone who had very low self-esteem and has really grown into someone who does have healthy self-esteem. Well, one of the things to keep in mind is when you're setting a New Year's resolution, the number one thing you want to think of is this practical? Is this a practical resolution? If you're like, well, I'm going to lose 20 pounds and I'm going to do it by the end of, you know, January, guess what? That's probably not going to happen. So the number one thing I talk about with my clients and with people who, you know, ask me to speak is doing it in bite-sized pieces. And what's so great about that is that you can say, you know, okay, I didn't do it today, but that doesn't mean I can't do it tomorrow. It's really that one day at a time. We've only got this 24-hour period of time. What am I going to get done in this 24-hour period of time that's going to move me towards that New Year's resolution that I set back on January 1st. I'm going to try and give you a few tools today to help you to keep the focus on yourself so that when you have that impulse to try and change someone else, like your mom or your dad or your brother or your sister or your dog, well, actually, I guess a dog you could take to obedience school, but your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your husband or your wife, anyone, when you have that impulse to change someone, what are the tools that you can do?